Hey, Facebook Live. Hope you are rocking your Columbus Day today. Am I even allowed to say that, or is that too triggering and politically incorrect? I don't know. But today we are going to have something very fun, because if you watch my last Facebook Live, you know that after some of my conversations with the financially intelligent physician, I have been finding out more and more about what looks to be a primary, there may be other root causes, but a primary cause of why apparently in America we can't have nice things in healthcare. It's because when we get past the outrage culture and the cancel culture and get really angry about grandma going broke, about some kind of not transparent bill that grandma got, and we should all be outraged about that. But we should also dig deeper instead of only just being outraged at something that is horrible. If somebody who is a leader says or tweets something really inappropriate or whatever, yeah, we should call the person on that. But you know what? There's sometimes a deeper system at work. I think we should look at that also. So that's really what this is about today. In the United States, you know, I talk with people from Canada, a much, much smaller country in terms of population, not in terms of geography. But, you know, they always ask me, why can't you have nice things in the United States? And I say, I don't know. But here are some challenges that I'm seeing. And what I would like to do is try to help solve or mitigate some of the massive, massive challenges that we have in healthcare. And I want to help support the amazing people, many amazing people. Not everybody in healthcare is amazing, but there are amazing people in there. And if that's you, or if that's somebody that you care about, like it is for me, then I want you to know that I support you. So in my last broadcast, I took a really serious look and I outlined all the things. Now, in this one, we're going to take a little bit of a break because it's a sort of a pseudo holiday today. And what better way to talk about healthcare than through the idiom of memes? What better thing could we do? So I have some healthcare memes. A meme is like an image that you see a lot, and then people put little words over it so that it means something a little different, and they impose their meaning on it. I thought this would be really delightful. So I hope that you can enjoy this right here. Here we go. Now, okay, now we got it. All right. Now, that's not what I wanted to start on right now. Okay. Here's what we're going to do today. We are going to look at a number of memes, all right? This is the Darth Vader pulls his hat off meme, or the mask, all right? We're going to look at this one the first, and then we're going to do the possibly sexist distracted boyfriend meme, which there's a lot of gold in that. And for those of you that could be triggered by that, I have a reverse distracted girlfriend meme that doesn't, I don't think, resonates as well, but I'm going to have that in there just for the sake, because equality, and because we want to represent as many sides as we possibly can with that. So this is the Luke Skywalker pulls the mask off of Darth Vader. You know, Jim Croce saying you can't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, but this is pulling the mask off of the old Darth Vader. All right. Now, okay, let's move on. All right, here's what I mean. Here we go. All right, now, this is really what it's all about. Okay? You know, healthcare is the evil, wicked Darth Vader mask. All right, it's what makes everything just so mean and polarized right now. Now, you see, Anakin Skywalker has pulled off his mask, all right? And the machine part of him, the evil dark side part of him, is now the mask. And instead of healthcare, maybe I should have put the healthcare system that is all jacked up. But people in healthcare are good people, all right? Sometimes they look kind of pale after a very long shift. But the people in healthcare are fundamentally good, just like Anakin Skywalker is fundamentally good. And then over here, the innocent, naive, prone to outbursts of naive anger and rage. That's me, and I just want to believe the best about everything and everybody, just like Luke Skywalker. Isn't that beautiful? All right. So that's really why I'm going all off on all these Facebook Lives. I could be talking about all kinds of other things, but I just wanted to frame what I am trying to do here. All right. Now we go to the next meme right here. And this is also what I'm saying. All right. Dysfunctional system. That's the evil black and evil mask, as Bill Murray sang in his Saturday Night Live Star Wars lounge routine. The black and evil mask is the dysfunctional healthcare system that pits people and departments against each other. And as I talked previously, we have the people in charge, the administrators, the executives, and then we have the providers, the nurses, the doctors, and the surgeons. And sometimes instead of attacking the disease and attacking the sickness as one unit, they turn against one another because of all the complexity and the turf and the different visions of going forward. And really what it is as things get pressured and squeezed, then people really do have to fend for themselves and kind of fight against one another instead of fighting to take ground against sickness and disease. All right. And the fact that a bunch of us are spreading a bunch of anti-vaccine disinformation does not help their job at all. I'll just say that. So again, good people in a dysfunctional system. And what am I trying to do? I'm trying to rip the mask off through these Facebook Lives. And you know what? If you know a good person in a dysfunctional system, if you know a physician or a surgeon or a nurse practitioner or somebody that's repeating themselves all day long and the pressure is piling on, you know what? Guess what you could do? You could let them know, hey, there's this crazy guy, Nathan, who did a Facebook Live with these somewhat funny Dank healthcare memes. And you might want to check in with what he's doing because he's doing some resources at the end of the month to help physicians gain the one thing that no physician has enough of, and that's margin. What is margin? Well, that's really time. And I can do something about that, just steer them my way. I have a workshop every single month. But here's what I don't have. I don't have a license to practice medicine. So right now I want to cultivate a group of ethical physicians who are practicing, who want to gain margin so that when some of the things that we get into in the next meme start kicking in, and they're going to kick in very, very soon, my friends, I want them to have margin, and I don't want them to be beholden to promises that other people are making on their behalf. Now, if they're a CEO, I have some solutions. I'll get into that a little bit later, but I think I listed that out on the description of this Facebook Live. Okay, the distracted boyfriend meme. All right, now isn't that the most awful thing that you've ever seen? You know, these with guys out. This is this is a heterosexual bias meme. All right, and you've got the guy, hipster guy, and a pretty girl. But then you have an even momentarily prettier girl with a louder color shirt. And the guy is whiplash. And you see the outrage, all right, on the face of the girlfriend, all right, who deserves the fidelity and the attention of the distracted hipster man. I don't know what having a new memory means, but... anyway, Okay, so now just so that you say that, hey, this is really sexist, here we go. Here's the next one. In case you think that's sexist, and I guess it is, here it is. The roles are reversed. All right, so now you got the pretty girl, and these are the same actors right here. These are the same models. So you got the pretty girl, and you got a cute hipster guy, but there's an even cuter guy, and she gets the whiplash, and she actually has the same look, kind of the pucker look, as the other guy has. But to me, it doesn't resonate quite in the same way. But, just for the sake of representation, which is so important, I wanted to make a big deal of this meme. All right, now we're going to move on. What does this say about healthcare? And by the way, I have more healthcare memes going on, and I'm only going to take care of the Anakin Skywalker, which we just saw, and then I've got a bunch of these distracted boyfriend memes, because they are going to explain in a nutshell what I have been taking. My last Facebook Live was about an hour, and these memes are going to be much faster than that, all right? What are we talking about here, Willis? This is what we're talking about. People are not getting the care they need because the hospitals are bleeding to death. They're not being fairly reimbursed by the government or insurance companies, and I'm just sticking with the government right now. Here is, in a nutshell, what is going on, all right? This is what we all want, okay? I'm going to start with a positive vision of what we all want. Free health care for everybody. Who wants it? Everybody. We're all like, whoa, how do we get free health care like they have in Canada, like they have in Sweden, or Denmark, or Norway, or all these much smaller countries that are more progressive? And depending on what I read, they may or may not really be like that anymore, and it may or may not. I've read articles about there's a social construct in like Sweden and Norway that says that people are really trying to stay in shape, and they're trying to minimize the cost to society of their medical visits, and that's part of why it works. And then I think about what happens every year at Walmart on Black Friday, because here in this country, we love having a bargain and we love having free stuff, to the point where, tragically, all right, I don't want to have a smile on my face, we can't even go through a Black Friday at Walmart without people getting trampled. All right? So it's like and sometimes it's more serious than that. People get like seriously injured. People die at the Walmart because everybody's trying to get a $50 plasma television. All right? So, I mean, people from Canada are looking at us. They're shaking their heads. They're like, you Americans, why can't you break it together? Well, we're a really, really big country, and there's a lot going on. So I'm just saying, we all want free health care, including me, and the ones that want it the most, I think, are the physicians. Even the conservative voting physicians who don't understand how fiscally this could make sense. But, I mean, they, out of their own fiscal pocketbook, they borrowed the money. Now they're paying the money back. They went without sleep. They did residency. The workaholics, they did all of this. And they may not, technically believe in free healthcare, but they are the ones. They're the only ones that really voted with their pocketbook to try to serve other people. So anyway, the big question, how to do it. All right. Next image. Here we go. Next image. Here we go right here. All right. This is the problem. This is why we can't have nice things. This is the issue, because during the George W. Bush administration, the HCAP system was invented. All right. I'm not going to call it a survey. That's what it's called, an HCAP survey. I don't know why it's called a survey, because the A in HCAP stands for assessment. This is the government making unwitting patients expert auditors, but calling it a survey like it's some kind of opinion Yelp review. And then what happens? The outraged woman, not the one in the red, all right, Patients rating the professionals. All right, there's so many wrong things with this Amazoning, this Yelping of healthcare by the non-expert to the expert. I mean, I don't want to be put in that role. All right, maybe you do. Maybe you're like, hey, Nathan, I am a entitled, expert. I'm good at rating people. I can be good at rating people too, but I don't want to do that in healthcare because I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to make the good grades and do all that stuff. I don't want to be put in that position. But the government, if I do an overnight stay at the hospital, puts me in that position and then tells me to survey my surgeon or my doctor or my, anesthesiologist or whatever. And that is not only inaccurate, that is dishonest because there is a massive financial penalty. So I've got my little clock right there. I'm going to move her up here. Unreimbursed hospital bills, or I could say partially reimbursed. But just like the example that I used, what's your paycheck? If you're not straight commission, if you're not commission, if you're not self-employed, if you have a regular paycheck, imagine that your boss, the government came in, capped what you could earn in your job and capped it maybe at what you were earning 5 or 10 years ago. Then said, hey, we're going to have your boss review you. And you say, well, that happens every year. And then I say, well, in the annual review, if your boss gave you like a 4-star because you're a pretty good employee, imagine getting 80% of your paycheck instead of 100%. All right. Would you be able to stay in your current house? Would you be able to keep driving your current job? Now, if you are a Dave Ramsey disciple, you probably could if you're actually doing, extreme savings stuff. But most of us are not. And hospitals, do we want hospitals operating on a 30, 40% margin like they probably have to now? They operate on maybe a 2, maybe a 3% margin. So if I give my hospital a 4-star rating, and I know it's not stars, I'm oversimplifying this, but I mean, if I give them a 4-star, the government takes the cap and gives them 80% of what the hospital was absolutely counting on because they're paying people to sanitize it. They're paying people to be nurses, to be ombudsmen, to be surgeons and doctors and receptionists, and all those people need to be paid. And this is why hospitals go out of business. All right? Isn't that awful? It's pretty bad. Now, what could be worse than that? I don't know if this is the next one. I think we're... All right. Before we quite go there, HCAPs, the government is like, let's do HCAPs. Yeah, let's trick the patient. And I'm impugning malice, all right now, which may be crossing the line of assume noble intent. I always want to assume noble intent. In this case, it's either malevolent intent or just really bad incompetence, the kind of incompetence that costs lives. So the government's here. HCAPS comes by. They invent this bad system. All right. I'm being generous by calling it a bad system. Hospital administrators, what are they thinking? They're thinking, oh, great. Now we're going to be the most hated people in the world because we're either going to have to shut down the hospital for everybody or we're going to have to, do just outrageous prices, the things that are not capped by the government. We're going to have to just outrageously jack those up, and everybody's going to think that we are horrible people. And do we want to stay in this role? Is healthcare for the public a noble enough cause that we need to kind of professionally martyr ourselves and have everybody hating us? And, I mean, this happened 11 years ago. This thing got rolled out not 11 months ago or 11 weeks ago. Hospitals are still in business. This has got to be how they stay in business because of the lack of transparency in some of the pricing. And then we have these books come out and they talk about the symptom, but not the root. And I just kind of scratch my head a little bit. I'm not to the point yet where I'm calling people out, but I mean, when I buy these books and then I go to the index, all right, it's great that you're gunning for the common person here, the little guy. But you know what? Where's the word HCAP? Somebody loves this here. Thank you, whoever you are. But I mean, I go to the index and it's like, where is the word reimbursement? Because that is the root cause of this. Where is the word HCAPs? Because that is the root cause, and it's not in the book. And I mean, I'm just scratching my head about that. You're an intelligent provider. You're a doctor or a surgeon or somebody with decades of experience. How could you miss that? Or is that kind of part of the angle here? I don't know. Let's move on. All right, here is the next meme. All right, here we go. Now, this is more of a social political commentary here. All right, we love to vote for promises. It's even better to make the promise. I mean, that's really hot. All right, make some awesome promises, but then, the people that actually have to deliver on the promises that somebody else made, not so cool. All right. Not so cool. All right. So think of your hospital CEO or administrator or somebody with a job like that where everybody hates them and hauls them up before or her up before Congress, says, how could you preside over such a corrupt system? You must be a really greedy, awful person. And we all see them on C-SPAN. And then the Congress people are just badgering them and showboating and doing all this stuff. More or less, it could be that the person is just inherited a really lousy system, and instead of just doing the really easy and smart thing, which is just to immediately resign and hand the hot potato to somebody else, maybe they're actually trying to go in there and fix it. Maybe not. If not, we'll have some evidence for that. If they're actually trying to destroy things or personally profit off of it, there will be evidence of that. But, I think there are a lot of people doing really hard jobs right now. And I just don't want to be part of the virtual mob going after these folks anymore. All right, here's another one. All right, this just keeps going on and on and on. I'm going to get into this in a future Facebook Live. All right, everybody, universal health care. Woo! Universal health care. We all want it. All right, the politicians want it, and the voters want it. But, not all voters are taxpayers, right? Oh, what a hateful, anti-socioeconomic thing to say. Well, it's not. I saw some kind of a statistic, or I heard it. I think it was Don Miller from the Story Brand podcast in an intro. And he cited a statistic. He is not a right wing. He's very moderate from everything, I think, which I appreciate. He can look at both sides of an argument. But the statistic, he said, the evil 1%, the evil, wicked, greedy, evil 1% who own the stuff, they are paying like 30% of the total taxes in the country. You never hear that statistic. I've heard it from conservative people, and I'm like, that sounds a little too conservative. I hear it from Don Miller, who echoes it. I'm going to be more prone to believe it. So, we've got universal health care, we've got the politicians, but the people that are actually not just the voters, but the people paying the taxes, the people that are selling their time for money. I mean, and once we've been past one round of attempts for Obamacare 10 years later, and I know that it got a little it got disentangled, it got dismantled a bit, but it was not well delivered. All right, you could hate me for saying, is it right for you to hate me for saying that? It wasn't well delivered. There was a spinning beach ball. It was just not well implemented. It just wasn't. And so we've got the taxpayers seeing this in my little meme right here, and that is some of the outrage. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, here we go. Now, this is really, now we've got the choices. right here, my friends. Okay, this is what's going on in a nutshell right now. All right, we've got HCAPs right here, and that means patients rate the pros. All right, this has been going on. This system has been going on not for 10 days. I would imagine after 10 days, the whole system would start, really shaking around. After 10 weeks of this, there would be hospitals on life support. 10 months, there would be many hospitals out of business. It's been 11 years since this was mandated, about 13 years since this was invented. All right, so 10 years. If you are a hospital executive, if you're a chief financial officer, a collections officer, or whatever, billing or operations or compliance or chief executive officer, all right, this is your, awful, horrible Solomon's choice. It's like Solomon with the two ladies, and the one lady, had their two babies, and in my favorite book, and it says that the two ladies had these two babies. They might have been prostitutes, if I remember correctly, and one of the baby died, one of the babies, and then the lady whose baby died stole the other lady's baby. They bring it before wise King Solomon, and both of the ladies are screaming over the baby, and Solomon's like, hey, give me the sword, and he's going to slice the baby in half. All right? How awful. I mean, it's like that. It almost reminds you of some politicians who would do something that horrible, all right, or tweet about something that horrible. But you know what it did? It actually got to the root of the issue, because the lady who actually gave birth to that baby did not want the baby to die, and said, you know what, I'd rather the other lady have my baby than the whole thing to die. I don't want half of a dead baby. This is a horrible thing to be talking about, but this is the choice. So you're an executive of a hospital. You're bringing in 81% of what you expected, the 100% that you expected to bring in. You have maybe a 2% margin of error. All right, you are so far below that. People are rating you like you're an Amazon delivery or their favorite author, new novel, instead of actually reporting and assessing what's going on. And you've got a bankrupt hospital. All right, what's the other option? What's the other option? Here we go. Come on. Boom. Wait a minute. This is the other option. It's an awful, horrible option. All right, you're a hospital administrator. You're like, let's do the shell game with billing. All right, $1,000 for a shot in the arm. I don't know, $2,000, $50,000, or $100,000 ride in the amp. Who knows? Who cares? Because what else are they going to do to keep the hospital open? All right, they're not collecting what they were counting on for the procedures. They are capped at what they can charge for certain procedures. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to, what we're going to do now, very interesting text that goes right with this that I just received that I'm not going to share. What are you going to do? This is the only option that I could see that an ethical, I will even say the word ethical CEO could use, because legally their hands are tied. Now you say, well, this is wicked capitalism. Only wicked capitalism would let this happen. And I would say back to you, I'd be like, is this capital? I don't know that we can call this capitalism, because the procedures in the first place have been capped by the government. That's something else. That's not capitalism. So, you can hate capitalism all you want, but this is like handcuffed partial capitalism and partial something else, government price controls. And at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, all of us outraged, as we should be. All right, now, is there anything else here? I don't know. I've got too many windows open right here. Yep, the ambulance ride. Yep, this is the last one. Okay. So again, this is what I want you to come away with. All right, all right. You and me are the Luke Skywalker. All right, we love the good people, but we hate the dysfunctional system. I hope this was helpful to you to understand this. You may be in the field and you may take issue with part of what I said or maybe all of what I said. So, feel free to comment mindfully. All right. Keep all the comments mindful of the fact that we're trying to influence people who are in traditional medicine. So we are challenging not traditional medicine, but we are challenging some of the traditions of traditional medicine. We are not going in there and say, hey, if you just did this out of the box thing, what I'm doing is a little bit out of the box, but it's also within the box. And it's because I want to influence traditional medicine, because when the power players that be in traditional medicine, when traditional medicine sees there is a design-centered solution, that there are sustainability solutions, these single-use conversations that doctors are having with their patients, they're actually scaling physicians the wrong way. And I have a workshop in which any practicing physician can attend, and they will find out how to set up their own system so that they can take margin back before the politicians promise even more of their time and margin. If you are a CEO, if you are an executive, what is your patient onboarding program? What are you doing to educate your patients ethically and legally so that they are not rating and reviewing you according to a survey? All right, it's not a survey. HCAPS is not a survey. It should be illegal. Like in New York City, if you say illegal immigrant right now in New York City, and I guess maybe because somebody in New York City might be watching this right now, so I could be on the hook for, I think, $100,000 or $250,000 or something like that. I think that HCAPS should be called an assessment, because that's what the A in HCAPS is. And if good patients who have health insurance, who work job, not all patients have health insurance, and the ones that don't, you know what, our heart goes out to them. But you know what, we're talking about the segment of patients who hospitals are counting on for the bills to be paid. If those patients knew, if they only knew that it was an assessment, that they were doing free auditing work for the government, and it was not an opinion survey, it was a report. It's not a review, it's a report, it's an assessment, it's an audit, and it's objective, it's quantitative, it is not qualitative, it is not subjective. If they knew that one thing, I bet we would slow the bleeding that the hospitals are under. If they knew that one thing, it would slow the bleeding. I don't know by how much. I'm not saying it would fix this, because it's not going to fix things, but it's going to slow the bleeding and maybe start turning the ship around. Maybe. If you believe in what we're doing here, please share and spread and comment intelligently and mindfully. And I have a mission. I want to help the good people making a difference in very difficult jobs in healthcare today. I get to do it from my fun little studio with my fancy microphone, my little backdrop, my little timer. Where's the timer? Timer that ran out. If you believe in what we're doing, come join it and let's make a difference together. Take care, everybody.